nice to spend this Saturday afternoon with you, Edna. Thank you so much for showing up. And before we get into it,
Thank you.
we have some rapid fire questions that I ask everybody who comes on the call. So we're going to do it quickly. The first one is,
Okay.
what is your favorite email sign off?
Okay. I recently became part of a full-time role.
Uh-huh.
Prior to now, it was basically just freelancing. So, um, I didn't really have opportunity to constantly use like email and to contact people. But like most recently, I find myself using best regards. I just feel like it works for every
It
situation.
does.
Um,
It does.
Best regards, sometimes kind regards, but I feel like I use more of best regards. It just feels, I think it works for every situation, so to
Yeah,
speak.
I hear
So,
you.
most. I would like to try something cool, but I don't know how it to be accepted because of context, because I don't know
Yeah.
who I'm speaking to and I
Yeah.
not understand, except I'm speaking to my colleagues. But yeah, I use
Yeah.
best regards more.
To be honest, I get that. Best regards works whether you're mad, whether you're happy, whether you're frustrated,
Yeah.
whatever it is, best regards is a good one because you can also say
I
sarcastic.
came across one. I came across one recently. I don't know if it's like for real, but the sign out was have a good day except for a Monday. And I was like, what? Have a
Okay.
good week. Have a good week except for a Monday because Mondays are usually crazy. So I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like people that, show some kind of personality with their sign off, but I also understand that it's not for every like space.
Yeah,
So
not for every
that
space.
makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
I started off being very like changing between warmly, warm regards, kind regards, all the things. But recently, I just write best, Jess, and keep it moving. No last time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's really good to know. What about this one? What's your favorite morning beverage? Are you a coffee, tea, mellow? What do you drink in the morning?
So I don't eat in the morning. I just drink water. I drink water a lot. Most recently I started adding chia seed to my
Mm,
water.
mm.
Uh, I learned that it helps with your digestive system. So I let it soak because I learned that you shouldn't take chia seed dry as it is. So you let it soak in water. So I add it to my water and I drink. My jug is here, as a matter of fact. So I just add it to it and I drink from it. I'm not really a tea person. I recently bought a teapot and I haven't really used it because it's just not my thing. I wanted to try something new, but it's not working yet. So yeah, just a
I
water
hear you.
baby.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, we love a healthy queen, so that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Right?
I I actually don't do much beverage these days. Like I usually have like a yogurt bowl in the morning, but I am a tea girl. I love tea. I have a teapot. I love using it.
Mm,
I love using like loose leaves to make tea. Also because there's a tea place that's really good tea. So yes,
okay.
I'm definitely on the tea spectrum.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm
good.
actually open to it, but I've just not really had like so
Yeah.
much experience of the regular Milo and
Mm,
milk that we
mm.
grew up with here in Nigeria.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I hear you. I know that. I mean, I used to like Lipton as well, but like I've now tried
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many teas that I understand the point now. So, um, then this last one, which is always an interesting conversation when I talk to like Ghanaian and Nigerians, because it's like, what is your favorite season? And I know we don't have four seasons, but
We do.
between the dry and the rainy, you know,
So between the dry and the rain, there's something in between. I don't know if you're aware, Amatan.
yes.
So it's a bit of both. It is dry, um, and it is cold,
Mm,
but there's no rain. So it's
mm.
like a bit of the extreme, the dry part, and then the rain. So I really like Amatan. A lot of people don't like it because it
You're the
makes you
first
really
person I heard that likes
dry.
Hamatan. What?
I really like Hamatan. I love it feels like a perfect weather. Like it's cold,
Mm,
everything is dry, the ground is not messy.
And you know
It
it's not
just feels
gonna
really perfect,
rain.
and there's no rain. So, but it's cold. So I
Yeah.
really like Hamatan. I know that people don't say this a lot, but I actually do like Hamatan.
I hear what you're saying. I think we didn't like Hamatan as kids because of just the ashiness that comes with it. Because you need to remember to use
Yeah,
lotion like 5 times a day for Hamatan.
exactly.
And and
But we're grown now, so we know how to handle our oil,
honestly,
and you are looking really moisturized, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I know my
two
way
reasons
around.
why I did not like Hamatan. One was the fact that I had to always remember to be like moisturized so I don't get ashy. But secondly was the fact that um like I don't know, I in Ghana we wake up very early to go to school, right? And so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
True.
you have to wake up and shower in that
You have
cold.
to wait to have your bath. It gets really cold. Yeah,
So,
I get the context why. I've actually grown to really like it. So I get
yeah, yeah. I
interesting. So
mean,
you experience Ramadan in Ghana too?
oh yes, yes. In
Oh,
December, from December to February is
okay.
Hamatan, and it's like proper dry, to the
Okay.
extent that like if you laugh at too many jokes, you start to get cracks in your
Yeah, cracks on your lips. Oh my goodness. Memories.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also in Ghana. I think Nigeria and Ghana
Yeah,
are quite similar in many things, especially the weather.
similar. Okay.
So I mean that's nice to know. Nice to know that you're a best regards person, you're water with chia seeds person, and you like Hamatan, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder if people can relate to this. Um,
You allow.
But okay, great. Let's get into it. So
Okay.
now let's talk about you a little bit, right? Can you
Okay.
briefly tell us about yourself, your current role, and how you've ended up as a UX writer slash content designer?
Okay. So I started off as I studied mass communication in the university. And from there, we at some point had to choose like a particular part of mass communication. So we had broadcast, we had newspaper, and we had public relation. We also had advertising. So at the time, I chose broadcast, which was radio. So I started working at the radio station in school. But later on, I moved on to wanting to join the newspaper segment. So I also had another stint with writing. And after that, I just decided to give writing an attempt where I was just doing content writing. I also joined communities in school where it was also necessary for me to offer that skill. So that was where it started. But at some point in school, I went for internship, and I learned about social media marketing, digital marketing. So I sort of opened myself to content writing and social media marketing. So after university, I started doing that.
Hmm.
Right. Afterwards, I moved a lot in the writing industry. So after social media marketing and content writing, I moved to blogging. So I was working with a blog here in Nigeria, and I worked with them for about 3 years. But while I was working, a friend that is a product designer during my service here mentioned UX writing. But I really didn't pay attention to it. I was like, okay, it sounds interesting, but at the time, there wasn't so much knowledge about it. So it felt like, oh, I don't think this is something that we do here in Nigeria. It looked like something that foreigners paid a lot more attention to. So resources were sort of limited. The ones that I saw at the time just felt really strange. I
Hmm.
didn't have anybody around that um I could feel like, oh, maybe they understand what it is in detail and how it works in its practical sense. So I just let it go.
Yeah.
So I was doing blogging, I was doing social media marketing, and while I was blogging, I had an experience, and this is a story I share every time. While I was blogging, I was also working to create videos for the blog. So it was like a roundup of all the stories we posted during the week. So we just do a video. So I was using a video creation tool, and at the time, the tool will always crash. Like when I'm almost done with my work, it will just crash. I will lose my work. And the words that the error message I got was always something like, "Oh, you have failed. The platform has crashed." And I'm like, the way the message was structured made it look like it was my fault.
Mm.
And it wasn't my fault. I just didn't have an idea what was happening. It was just crashing. But the word that they used sort of connoted like somebody failed or I did something wrong. And I was like, oh, this is a UX writing problem. And
Yeah.
I was really so and so mad at the experience that I deleted the app. I had to find something else. Right. So it just opened my eyes to see that, okay, this is UX writing. Let me go back to this UX writing that this friend introduced me to and learn about it.
Mm.
So I left the job at the time and I fully focused on UX writing. It was more like starting from scratch all over again. So I had to stay and think of myself as a student learning. And at the time, fortunately, I had began to see people in Nigeria that were also
Getting
doing
into
UX
it.
writing. So it
Yeah.
was now easy to get into it. So I got materials, I started learning. As much as I don't like to use the word self-made, it was basically me finding resources myself and learning, right? So that was how we started. And UX writing is very hands-on. You have to like get into the practical sense. So I started trying the things I had learned enough to have like a portfolio in quotes. There's a challenge that we did, they call it a 14-day UX writing challenge. So the things you learned, you just replicate it. So that was like the foundation of my portfolio, and I began to apply it. I don't know. Of course, I was scared at the time, but based on the things I've learned, they said you should just learn to put yourself out there. So I began to apply. I got my first freelance role. I knew that I wasn't doing the best I could, but at the time I was just trying to give it, the knowledge I had at the time. I wanted to give it my best. I did, and afterwards, opportunities began to come up, and I landed my first full-time role sometime last year, August. I
Mm.
came in as a contract staff, but they retained me as a full-time staff. I think sometime in February or March.
Mm. Well,
So I've been working.
congratulations.
Thank you. I've been working at Crane. Crane is a crypto company that helps freelancers, business owners, or even crypto traders to convert your crypto to Naira,
Mm.
right? It's more like a low-level experience where crypto is seen as really complicated and a lot of people don't really like to mess with it. So, but we try to make crypto accessible to everyone where you can just convert your crypto to Naira directly. So
Yeah.
that has been the experience so far, working as a UX writer and my background.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I like it when people share experiences and they've come from like many, many places or have had different stints at different places because that's usually the experience that most of us have, at least those of us from Ghana and Nigeria, because you wouldn't go
Yeah.
to uni for UX writing. Like,
So
hopefully that exists now or exists in the future, but
yeah,
currently it
just
doesn't. And so most of us would have come from something else and then got here
yeah,
through some transition or the other. And for you, obviously, it was
yeah,
because you had an experience that was terrible and because you had had the background of someone talking to you. This is why I always say that, like, the community is so important because someone had had a conversation with you and that sort
yeah.
of piqued your interest and your own
Yes,
experience added to that, got you onto that path.
that's yeah,
And so, I mean, I'm,
my
I'm
part.
really
Yeah.
glad that you've shared this. I guess the other question that is quite, I guess, related to that is your experience was a transition more or less from a content and social media and digital marketing and blog perspective into that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't too far away. How have
Yeah.
other people that have you found in the UX writing space made a transition? Are most people coming from a comms background, or what does that look like in the space?
So currently, from observation, a lot of people actually come from comms background.
Hmm.
I haven't really met with anyone. I think maybe just a few. I think I know someone, Joynels, that I don't think she had. I'm not very sure, but a lot of people basically come from comms
Some
background,
kind of
and
comms background.
but the truth is, it doesn't have to even be from, you don't even need to come from a comms background, right? I think maybe as we proceed in this conversation, we'll talk about that in detail. But yeah, most of people that I know come from comms background, and it sort of makes the journey easier because you have a writing experience. But now the type of writing is now different, and the
Right.
purpose is now different.
which is a very good actually segue into now let's talk about UX writing proper, right?
Okay.
What is it?
Okay.
When you say you're a UX writer, what does it mean? How is that different from being a content writer?
Okay. Okay, so this is a typical question because I know that a lot of people, like I said, have a lot of writing experience. There's technical writing, there is content writing, there's copywriting. So you're like, oh, it's still writing. What's the difference? So I want us to break it down. UX writing, it's like an abbreviation of user experience writing. So it's basically we understand that there's UI UX design. Everybody talks about UI UX design, UI UX design. So when you understand that there is an interface, right, that people engage with. So it could be a software, it could be a website, it could even be a physical product. So you interface with this, and designers have done their best. They have done like a really good production. But the work is not complete if the end user doesn't know how to use the experience to the best of their knowledge, right? So it's like saying that I have a LinkedIn account. They've designed it, but imagine a LinkedIn account without, or a LinkedIn page without text. You will know where to go to. You will know if I click on this box, is it a search bar? Am I supposed to click on this to go to my profile? Is this settings? Without all of those text, the experience is not whole, right? So user experience is, I mean, UX writing, which is user experience writing, is is an attempt to give life to your product and ensure that people are able to have a solid experience from top to bottom,
Yeah.
right? So that's like the basic definition of what UX writing is, right? It's just how um the how will I put this? Just choosing the right words to guide people through an experience,
Yes.
right?
And also
So, for
briefly,
instance, we are here on what did you say?
right? Because for most UX writing, you don't have
Exactly,
that much
exactly.
space
Yeah.
on words
Yes, you don't have
here.
exactly. Exactly. So it's an intense task, right? So it's not just like every other task. And to further explain it, the purpose is different, right?
Yeah.
If you look at content writing, it's basically for information to educate. For copywriting, it's advertising. We're trying to make you do something. We want you to buy an ebook. We want you to follow and subscribe to a platform. It's very sales related. But UX writing is basically, oh, you have come to this platform through copywriting, we directed you here. Through content writing, we directed you here. Now that you are on this platform, how do you have a awesome experience? So
Yeah.
we guide you through words. We help you understand what to do next, right? And generally just educate you about your experience. Oh, I came onto this website to pay for a movie ticket. How do I start from the landing page to a point where I have my ticket in my hand?
Yeah.
The words through that flow is what UX writing is about. So yeah, the purpose are different.
Yeah, I
The
hear you.
purpose is different.
I hear you. And can you give us an example? So for instance, like if you went on Instagram, right? What is an example of a
Yeah.
UX writer's pro like example of content you would see that was produced by a UX writer on, for instance, your Instagram?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Like, what's the copy that you see that
Yes,
makes it
that could
know
have
that this is
been
UX writing?
yeah, produced by a UX writer.
Okay, so I don't know if you have your phone close by, but when you open your Instagram, you
Yeah.
see at the bottom you see some icons,
Yes.
right? There's an icon that is very popular that when you click on it, you know that you are going to your profile, right?
Yes.
So when you click on profile,
Mm-hmm.
just look at all the text there, starting from the numbers of posts that you've made,
Mm-hmm.
the number of followers the number of following. There's a part that says edit profile. There's a
Yeah.
part that says share profile. Imagine that page, this single page you're on, without all of this text. You're just seeing a box. There's a box in the background.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there when there's no text? How do you navigate? How do you edit your profile? How do you
Yeah.
share your profile? It's
Yeah.
just very confusing
Yeah.
without words.
Yeah.
It looks good, the designer have done their work. They have beautiful colors. There are circles, there are rectangles, there's different shapes that make up a product. But without words, the experience is broken because you didn't design it just for it to be beautiful. It's
Yeah.
designed for it to be used. So if
Functional.
users don't know that, oh, I'm here on Instagram, I want to edit my profile. I don't like the name that I used earlier. If the edit profile is not there,
Mm.
I can't navigate. I'm
Yeah.
stuck. I'm frustrated. I will most likely delete Instagram, like I
Yeah.
deleted the other app back then because I'm frustrated, right? So those are places where you see UX writing in
Writing
its full
in the
play. It's
wild.
those texts are called
Yeah.
microcopy because they're like really little text, but they
Yeah.
guide your experience. You
Yeah.
cannot enjoy a product without them.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds from your explanation that UX writing is a bit more functional in terms of guiding actual action within the interaction, whether it's on a website
Yeah,
or on an app, compared to other
exactly.
kinds of content. And this is really great. I'm glad that you provided like a real world example because many people will understand the theory of what you said, but if you show them on your Instagram the things like edit profile, things like X number of followers,
Yeah.
that is UX writing in the world. You
Yes.
are interacting with it on a daily basis. That's a great way to let people understand what their work would look like and how it
Yeah.
would help people. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I even want us to look beyond softwares and applications. So
Right.
there are real world experiences. For
Right.
instance, when you go to a mall, it's typical here in Nigeria, you see a door that says push and another part of the door that says pull.
Yeah.
Without those text of pull and push, you don't know where to go. Am I pulling in? Am I pushing in? You're like,
Yeah. You're probably gonna bang your head on it.
bang your head on something. Do you get? So when you have words like push and pull, it tells you that I'm supposed to pull this
Yeah.
while I'm supposed to push this.
Mm.
Also, think about your microwave or your washing machine. The text that tells you you want to rinse, you want to spin, you want to defrost. Those words, they are microcopy and it's UX writing, basically.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting industry.
It is, it is. And I'm glad that it's more and more Nigerians and Ghanaians and people like us are getting into this space. And I guess that also brings me to the how do you get into the space? Like what does the transition look like for somebody who wants to enter UX writing? What do they need to do? How can they do it? What is the duration between I have this idea to maybe I get my first role? What does that look like?
Okay. To be very honest, the path is not very linear. It's not from point A to point B. This is how it will turn out, right?
Yeah.
For me, I was trying different things, and fortunately, and I believe in the power of God as well. Fortunately, and by the help of God, opportunities began to come my way. But to just start off, you need to be ready to learn, right? Because it's as much as it is writing, it is a lot different than the type of writing you might be familiar with. So if you are stuck with the idea of, oh, it's just writing, oh, it's just writing, you won't be able to serve the people you're supposed to serve, right? Because the word user experience is you are basically trying to serve users, right? So you need to be very open-hearted, willing to learn. I started off by reading books. I read books. I think I saw because UX writing courses are not cheap. I mean, the most popular ones, they are not cheap at all, right? Fortunately, we have people in Nigeria that they are creating courses that are cheap,
More.
or let me say affordable,
Yeah.
more affordable for you. So I expect you to start off with things like reading books. There are a lot of books that I personally have taken advantage of that has really helped me in my journey
Mm.
to understand what I'm trying to do. All right. So um learn the we recently just completed in for some interested persons in UX writing, and um we also had to teach them design fundamentals, right? So we are not teaching you to be designers, right? But you should still have an understanding of how these products, how they put it together before the word comes into it. So transitioning means that you need to have like a foundation understanding of design. Also, you get to practice a lot.
Yeah.
One thing I wish, if I have an opportunity to go back to when I started, I wish I was practicing constantly.
Mm,
Right. Of course, I had the experience, I had the opportunity to, but I wish I did more practicing because it is a very hands-on skill, it's very practical.
but
While
how?
a lot
How
of people
can
might
people
stop.
practice? What does practice mean?
So when you, for instance, I read a book, one of the most important books that I recommend is a book by Kinret Yifra or something like that. It's titled Microcopy the Guide. So let's assume that I'm starting off as a new writer. I tell you to read the book. When you read the book, there are sections that explain voice and tone, style guide, how you communicate to people, what you should say to people, and all of that. When you do that, the next step for you should be okay, so this is a website now. What's the problem with this website? What can I see that it doesn't look really right and I
Mm,
can improve?
mm, mm,
Right.
mm, mm.
So I would expect that you go, there's a platform called, I mentioned that I took it, 14-day UX writing challenge. So they will give you a prompt. They'll tell you that, okay, create a landing page for somebody trying to pay for a ticket, for a movie ticket. So you don't have to design it because you don't have like design experience. That's absolutely fine. You are just starting. But try to write the words,
Yeah.
right? So what should the word be? What do you think people should read to help them understand that this is the process to buying a movie ticket,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So there are structures like that that help you practice. And
Okay.
if you're fortunate enough to have somebody to guide you, you can send your product to them or send your content to them to help you review, right? And there are also AI tools that can also be of help to you for something like that. So that's basically like a summary. Of course,
That's
there's a lot more
really
to that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I like the fact that you talked about finding books to read, finding like free or maybe more affordable courses within your
That's it.
community, but
Yeah.
also practicing. There's platforms like the 14-day UX challenge that you could use, for instance, to
Yeah.
practice as
Yeah.
somebody who is now starting out completely.
Yeah.
That's really great. And I've written it down because I like to put in the descriptions for people to see or like things for people to click through so they can get that help. But I guess then let's talk about the place of UX in the business. This is something that I ask to help our people when they're going for interviews, right?
Okay. Yeah.
What are
Very true.
what are some maybe KPIs or success metrics that you should be calling out if you're trying to get into a UX role? You know, even if you've not done it before, how could you
Yeah.
talk about your transferable skills in a way that relates to what UX will typically contribute to?
Okay. So, as much as we are trying to say that, oh, UX writing is for users, you're trying to communicate to the users, at the end of the day, it is still somebody's business, right?
Yes.
And you should also see yourself as a salesperson, so to speak. As much as we are not directly selling to people, your
Mm-hmm.
words can still help, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you let's start off with understanding what is your contribution to a business as a
Yeah.
UX writer.
Yeah.
Your contribution is first and foremost improved experience, right? Improved user experience. And what I mean by that is, for instance, when I came into my company, they had an issue with people were confused about certain words. They had been using words that are not coherent or cohesive. It was just scattered. They will find download the app today, they will find get the app today. So it was just really confusing. What are you trying to tell us? So when you identify the problem, it means that you already have a goal. The goal is to, switch the problem into a solution,
Yes.
right? So when you understand that I want to improve users' experience by ensuring that they understand what they need to do, that is your contribution to the business. So number
Yes.
one, improved user experience. Number two is product adoption, increments in product adoption. Um, for instance, as much as as much as content writing, like a blog, an article, or even copywriting, will direct people to a website. When they get to that website and they download the application, do they get confused? Do they get stuck? Do they know how to set up their profile? Do they know how to sign up? Do they know how to make their first transaction or do their first task? So um, it means that you are ensuring that the onboarding flow is seamless
Mm,
from point A to point B, from sign up, where do I put my email address? Do I need to put my password? What type of password do I write? Does it need to contain alphabet? All of these things, when you look at it, you understand that you are basically improving the experience,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's one. That's another one. Also, there's also this is something I'm even practicing at my workplace right now, reducing support tickets. So basically, when people are frustrated, they are very quick to reaching out to support. Oh, I have an issue. I can't do this. I can't do that. And most times it costs money for the business. The business
Mm,
pays for all these tools where you have to contact support. So to reduce the cost, to help us reduce the cost, we can now reach out to support as a UX writer and ask them, oh, are there particular issues that people are complaining about?
yeah.
I now have a look at it. I sit down with it, I look at it. Is it a copy problem? If
Mm,
I fix the copy, do they still need to call you? Right? So I've been able to identify that, okay, there are certain places where they don't know if they should put in their bank details or not. And
yeah.
anytime they get to that point, they call support immediately. And it's more money for the business. I mean, it's a loss for the business.
Mm,
So if I can put a micro copy somewhere that says, impute your bank details,
here.
don't worry, we will not charge you yet.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we will not charge people are more at rest. They're like, okay, I understand now. I don't need to call support. The copy within the application has solved my
All that
problem
support
or
problem.
has guided me through the
Yeah.
process.
No, that's really
So
good.
that's one thing. What did you say?
No, I'm saying that's really good because if you think about improving the user experience and like improving adoption, support is a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's making sure people feel
Yes, support is
confident
a big
enough
part of
to
it.
use exactly the product in a
Yeah.
meaningful way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for things like metrics, obviously the things I mentioned, it means that you are tracking things like conversion rates. So
Yeah.
some of these metrics might not solely be for you to track because I believe that it's a system where the content writers are doing their work, the marketing team is doing their work, the support is doing their work, the UX writer is doing their work. It's you can't particularly say, oh, one person made it happen,
Yeah.
right? But even at that, you can still track metrics like conversion rates, task completion rates. For instance, oh, there's a task where you need to upgrade your KYC level. Can people successfully complete that flow? Do they get
Yeah.
stuck anywhere? How
Yeah.
many times do people complete this KYC flow? Right. So you can track things like that.
Yeah.
Also support tickets. Maybe there's a reduction in support tickets. You can
Hmm.
track things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some of the things that you can mention. Error rates. Do people constantly experience error when they use your application? Those are things that you can track as well.
I completely understand the bit about UX writing. You might not hold your own metrics or own KPIs, but it's a very big contributor function where you contribute to
Yeah.
whether the design functions work has been well received. You contribute to whether the product management
Yeah.
function well received, whether support tickets are going down
Mhm.
because the copy is now directing people a bit better, and whether or not
Yes.
the company is maintaining their retaining their users, right?
Yeah.
Like user retention
Yes, exactly.
exactly is also a big thing.
Yeah.
So if you have an interview, to those of you watching at home, if you have an interview, those are some important metrics to bring up if you're trying to get into UX writing. So I now have a
Yeah.
question about our favorite friend these days, AI. How is AI
Yeah.
showing up in your work as a UX writer? What are some things, some trends that are happening with UX, and how are you using it or staying ahead of the curve in that way?
Okay. So I know that there's a frenzy about AI and it feels like people are losing their mind by it. I'm still a believer in the fact that these are tools that you take advantage of.
Yeah.
They should not. take advantage of you. I don't know if that makes sense, right?
It does. Makes sense, and I agree with
You use them to your own benefit. You use
you.
them to your own benefits. I feel like, based on my experience, it makes me work faster and smarter, right? Things that I will spend so much time trying to create from scratch. AI gives me like a good jump start, right? Because there are times where you just want to do something. You are thinking of, oh, how do I create this? How do I start this? Particularly content, right? Because there's a lot of documentation that happens in content writing. I mean, in UX writing. So you have to like document your user persona, document your voice and tone, your style guide. There are times when you don't really have time. I work in a fintech space and everything is very fast paced. So give me this copy. Ask somebody's asking for this. You have to turn it in. Like you don't have so much time to spend time creating everything from scratch. So for me, it's a very good jump start. It's more like an idea generation. So it just helps me, um, it gives me leverage. So if I'm trying to create like a first draft for something, not the copy directly going into the app, but like a first draft of my UX writing process, I would speak to ChatGPT or Claude or just ask, oh, what should the UX writing process for this be like?
Mhm.
Just questions that can help you jumpstart the experience or your process so that you don't have to start scrambling and wasting time on other things. Also, um, it helps you just have some level of consistency,
Yeah.
right? Where you are able to do things in an ecosystem where you have like structure.
Yeah.
Right now, I'll be speaking at a conference in October, and the topic is about content ops. That's content operation,
Hmm.
basically how to have like a structured workflow, right? And to ensure that you are working effectively. Because as a solo UX writer, I'm the only UX writer in my company, and I work with at least 5 designers, so it can get really messy. So AI has been one of the not just one, but like it has really helped me have like a proper workflow and structure in terms of, oh, these are the things that I should create. For instance, AI has helped me understand that, oh, there are templates that I can work with, I can create and use that can help me improve my workflow from time to time. There
Yeah.
are also tools like Frontitude, um, yeah, Frontitude, and I can't remember the other one that helps me put all my copy together at one place. It's like a copy library
Right.
for the application that I'm writing for, the website I'm writing for. I have my copy everywhere so that I'm not looking for it everywhere, right? I'm not lost. So AI is basically an enhancer for me.
Yeah.
Of course, there are limits because um it doesn't understand context.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand context. It doesn't understand emotion and other nuances there and there, right? So you still need humans to ensure that these things are done in the right way. While I believe that it can jumpstart you, at the end of the day, it's not going to do your work from top to bottom. It is
Ex-
not ideal.
Yes.
Cannot produce something solid if you're relying on it 100%,
Yeah.
right? Because, for instance, for UX writing, you are writing based on their user journey. So they
Mhm.
are coming from a an article that they saw online that says, "Oh, use Crane to convert your crypto to naira," and then they click on the CTA and it brings them to the application to download the application. AI doesn't understand that flow, like where they are coming from. It doesn't understand their user journey. It doesn't understand emotional nuances. It doesn't understand the user's intent. Except you want to feed AI with all this information, which is still not ideal.
Yeah.
As a human, as the person behind the screen, you should still be able to filter,
Yeah.
right? Of course, there are also issues with bias. There are also issues with privacy policy. So I would not say that AI is a replacement for anybody, but it's more of an assistance. Except you don't want a solid work where you just want AI to create things that are very basic. But anything that is deeply rooted or that has like a deep roots in terms of content, you still need a collaboration with AI. You
Yeah.
cannot you cannot use AI as a standalone option.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I
I
believe
agree.
in.
I agree with you. And the thing is that for things like UX, whether it's UX writing or US research or UX design, whatever it is, there's a lot of human psychology that is required at the back of it, right? You need to be,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
it unless AI will never have the lived experience of people, right? As much as we can train it and train it and train it. And so even if you're using
Mm,
AI as an enhancer to your work, if you're someone who is trying to get
yeah.
into UX brand new, it makes a lot of sense to try and hone your skill, hone your own writing. And even if you use AI, use it as something that enables versus like that's the work for you. First of all, it can't. But yeah, I think it's really good advice to keep it as an enhancer and something to make your work go that extra mile versus doing the work for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Like, I mean, that's really good advice on the AI stuff. I guess the next thing then that I wanted to ask about was around um you've told us how to probably answer the question in interviews around KPIs and metrics. You've told us how people can get in, how they
Yeah.
can get like use courses or do challenges. But now what's like your
Mm,
OG list of resources? What books, what
mm,
podcasts? Is there a YouTuber that you follow? Is
okay.
like who is doing really good work in this space that could be a good starting
Yeah.
point for a new UX person, UX writer?
Okay. So I will start with personalities that I follow that I really think are doing really good.
Nice.
Of course, I'm going to start with Nigerians.
Do
So
it.
there is Precious Okoro.
Okay.
She's doing really good.
Yeah.
There's Katrine. So there are two Katrines, right? There
Okay.
is the one in Nigeria. I
Mhm.
think she moved to the UK this year. I
Okay.
can't really pronounce her name. I can send it over.
No problem. We will
There's
link it in the
Katrine.
description.
There is yes, we will. Um there is another woman. I'm trying to remember her name right now, but I think she's very sorry. Just let me check my Instagram. She's a lot more active on Instagram. Instagram. Then there is oh, you can see me.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, no,
Um,
please don't. The internet is not your fault at all, so don't worry about it.
I know. Um, there is Dr. Yeah, her name is Dr. Katarina Graham.
Right,
She's
okay.
very excellent. She has been very helpful to me personally. She's very active on Instagram. I think she has a thing against you, LinkedIn, which I completely
Which
understand.
I
So she's very
understand.
active.
It's not for
She's
everybody.
active, not for everybody. So she's active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well.
Mm,
Um, I took a course. She has a number of courses on Udemy,
mhm,
and they are very, it was a foundational course for me,
mhm.
and they're also very good for a kickstart if you want to transition into UX writing. So anybody should pay attention to that. Um, the other persons that I find really interesting on LinkedIn, but I really cannot put names to them right now.
That's
For platforms, I'm
yeah.
more of a audio person
Okay.
than video. So I do podcasts. I'm just going to go to my Spotify and check the names. There's writers in tech.
Mm-hmm.
It's by UX Writing Hub. I think Yuval is the founder of that. Yuval Kachester. I think that's his name. I hope I'm not murdering the name. There is hold on please. Podcast. Writers in Tech. What is wrong with UX? I don't think they've been posting as usual. Um, there is Content Design Podcast. Hold on, please. We have Writers of Silicon Valley. This is by Patrick Stafford. And then the one that I love, like, of course, there are other ones that I love, but I really like Content Rookie by Nicole. I don't think she has posted in recent time.
Mm,
But content, there are a lot of resources that you can still take advantage of there. Content Rookie. There's also Content Strategy Insights. And then there is the one by Christina Alvarsin. the Content Strategy podcast. So I listen, of course, while some of them might not be like up to date, they've produced solid content in the past that you can still
And you can
listen
still
to
use,
and
yeah.
learn a lot from. Yeah, they're still very good. So that's also very good. For books, I'm a book person. I like to read. So while I like to read fictions, there are certain non-fiction books that are related to my career that I really pay attention to. So I mentioned Microcopy the Guide. That is a solid book for anybody starting off. It's like that's the top of my list. Copy UX Writing the Guide. There is also hold on please. Writing is Designing. There's writing and designing. There is strategic writing for UX. There is I'm trying to find my book collection right now. Please just give me a minute. I think it's easier for me to find it on my Kindle, but my Kindle is not here. Um, just hold on, please.
That's fine. Also, what you can
But this,
find, you can,
like, anyone, if
yeah.
yeah, I think I will just create a list because I have like a repository that I came up with just to help people because I realized that it was a struggle for me to start off. I didn't know where to start. And that's one of the reasons why I always want to be of help to people. Anybody that reaches out to me, I'm very open so that you're not learning in a very scattered fashion. You're learning in a direct roadmap. So I have like a repository of things that you can learn from. So I think I will just put together the list and send to you after now.
Perfect. That sounds like a good plan. And you know what? Like, people getting any place to start usually is a good start. What I would
Yeah.
want you to think about as well when you're sending us over the list is there any community or communities that you have joined that have been useful? Please add that to the list as well so we can link it. I try to always do that as well because for me personally, communities are my jam. So
Yeah.
let's add that and then that will be really useful. Well, thank you so much for like joining us this Saturday and sharing your knowledge and advice and also your story. Before we go, is there anything that you wanted to tell anyone that's looking to get into UX writing? Like if you had a final word for them, what would that be?
Final word will be there's room for you, right? You might feel like it's a lot of people are getting into it, or it looks like because as much as there are Nigerians and Ghanaians and other people in African countries that are getting into it, it's still not very much accepted. Like when you look at other countries like the UK or US, right? So
Yeah.
there is still room for you to have a solid foundation and grow as a UX writer. And you can still grow as an individual when you give your time to it, right? It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not, oh, there is money in tech, let everybody get into it. But it's a place where you can make impact and impact people's life positively,
Yeah.
right? If you need resources, you need guidance, I'm very open to helping anybody. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, but
Perfect.
there's room for you to grow. And I believe in you. I believe in you.
Amazing. We will also link Edna's LinkedIn in the description. So please reach out to her when you have gone through the stuff that she sent and you have a question or you want some guidance. That will be really, really helpful. Thank you so much. And thank you at home for watching and be there at the next one.